Hello folks, and welcome to One to Deploy. I'm your host, Daniel Martin, and today we have an audience question. Today we have a question that was submitted by one of my very astute audience members, and the question was, what do you think that the future of crypto really looks like? Now that's a very loaded question because people have all sorts of different opinions on it. I have a very strong opinion myself, and obviously with Know Your Market and Kim AI being the center of the Know Your Market platform, I'm a big advocate for crypto these days. But there was a multifaceted response that came. Honestly, it's one of those questions that really doesn't have a simple answer. Some people will tell you that crypto is just a fad and that it has already passed, similar to the way that NFTs have. Others just swear that it's the new world order. I think reality is the truth is much more layered. It's arguably more interesting and probably more disruptive than most people truly expect. So, in this episode, what I want to do is break down the 5 roles that I believe crypto will play in the future, plus one big shift that hardly anyone is talking about, but it's already happening. So, here we go. Number 1, crypto as a store of value. So the most obvious role that crypto has is a store of value. For years, Bitcoin has been called digital gold. The fact is that label isn't just a marketing hype. Gold has always been valuable because it's scarce, durable, and not controlled by any single government. Bitcoin fits exactly that mold, but it's even better because it has a capped supply, it exists outside of borders, and it's proven remarkably resilient despite endless predictions of its collapse. Everyone said Bitcoin's a fad, it's going to go away, this and that. Well, it's almost the most valuable thing on the planet now. It's certainly worth more pound for pound than gold. But here's a key difference. Gold just sits in a vault. So if you go ahead and you buy $100,000 worth of gold, it goes and sits in a vault unless you have a vault in your own house that you choose to put it in, but mostly it's sitting in a vault somewhere. By contrast, Bitcoin can move across the world in seconds, right? Literally seconds. That not only makes it a value store, but it makes it a fluid, borderless one. So if you want to be really liquid in your value store, Bitcoin is a great way to do it. For people living in countries where you have unstable currencies or hyperinflation, that's not just a theory, it's genuine survival. For them, crypto isn't just an investment, it's in fact a freedom. So crypto as a value store, I believe will never go away because we've already surpassed a point at which the entire world sees Bitcoin as something valuable. That is here to stay. Crypto as a value store is absolutely here to stay. Number 2, this is a theory that not too many people are talking about, but I'm really strong on this one myself. Crypto as the new, quote, shares. So the next role that I think is even more transformative than crypto as a value store is crypto as the replacement for traditional shares. You've heard me talk about this in another podcast. Right now, company ownership is wrapped up in stock exchanges or stock offerings, brokers, clearing houses, and mountains of paperwork. Yeah, sure, you, quote, own the shares, but you never really see what's happening inside the business until things like your quarterly reports, your half-yearly reports, and whatnot are published. But by then, the fact of the matter is that information is old news. Imagine now a world where companies issue tokens instead of shares. Now, where I say tokens, what I mean is crypto tokens. Every transaction, every customer interaction, every new contract is recorded on-chain in real time. The value of those tokens updates literally instantly, reflecting the actual health of the company that you're invested in, not some analyst's delayed report. Investors wouldn't be buying promises, projections, buying estimates based on analysis and stuff like that. They'd be buying into real, live, transparent streams of value creation. It would be irrefutable and undeniable. But this is not just science fiction. It's already starting to happen with tokenization. It's going to be happening with Kim AI. You're going to hear me talk about this more and more. And if you read the Kim AI white paper right now, you will quite literally see we are building exactly this. And if you think about it, why would the next generation of founders stick with a 200-year-old share structure when blockchain gives them a cleaner, faster, and more transparent alternative? This is very much going from the horse and cart to the car. We are moving from an old way of doing things into a new way of doing things. This is not just petrol cars into EVs. This is quite literally borderline reinventing the wheel. Cryptos as the new shares is absolutely one of the fundamental reasons why crypto has a long-term future. Number 3, crypto for secure transactions. Again, not one that people talk about too often, but I think it's just paramount. The third role here for crypto is in big, high-stakes transactions like, for example, property or commercial deals. Right now, if you buy a house, it's all done in more or less a paperwork nightmare. If you're in Australia, you would have heard of the term PEXA. Well, PEXA makes everything digital and fast and safe and secure. It's all still paper and lawyers, frankly. It's no different. It's just scanned versions of pieces of paper. It's contracts, it's signatures, it's verifications, it's settlement periods. It's so antiquated. And at every step, there's a chance of error, fraud, or delay. And I'm sure anyone who has ever bought or sold a house would know that errors and delays are routine. Crypto, on the other hand, has the potential to blow that up entirely. Imagine property ownership being transferred instantly through a smart contract. The deed, the funds, the signatures, all verifiable, all immutable, and all on-chain, right? Instantly. There's no, quote, trust me moment, and no risk of someone altering the paperwork. The blockchain is the proof, and it can't be altered. Not only does this speed things up, it levels the playing field, because you don't need to rely on an old bureaucratic system that, heaven knows in Australia we're subject to that, and I'm sure the world over we are. Transactions become faster, they're cheaper, and they're more secure because they can't be faked. And that changes the entire flow of industries, from real estate, finance, and the big one here is law. The way the legal system can operate can change, particularly as it pertains to contract law. So crypto is going to change the way that secure transactions will be done in the future. And again, that's not going away. Section 4, international payments and the replacement of, if you've ever paid any money overseas, you'll know this word, SWIFT. Let's talk international money. If you've ever tried sending money overseas, you will know how astronomically painful it is. The SWIFT system is far from swift. It is slow, it is expensive, and it relies on banks acting as middlemen. Quite literally, there can be multiple banks in the middle of a chain of a financial transaction, all of whom are taking a clip along the way. If I want to wire funds, it can take days, and literally, as I just said, everyone along the chain takes a fee for doing what is, in my opinion, absolutely nothing. Crypto eliminates all that. You can send the equivalent of $1 million across borders in minutes or arguably seconds without needing anyone's permission. Particularly with stable coins that are pegged to major currencies like USDT or USDC, you don't have to worry about volatility. So when you are sending that money in, say, USDT on the Ethereum chain, that stable coin is remaining at the value that you sent it at. So volatility doesn't matter in the same way that it might on some of the altcoins, Sui or Solana or whatever, that are flipping up and down. If you're using a stable coin, your value remains, but you've sent it to that other person on the other side of the planet in seconds. This is already happening. This is where it's really, really, really interesting. It's already happening in parts of Africa, South America, and Asia. People are now using crypto as the primary way to send and receive money, not just internationally, but locally. I lived in Thailand for 6 months last year. We paid the rent using crypto. We paid the bond using crypto. We rented the car using crypto. Now, you say using crypto. What sort of coin was I using? I was using a stable coin. It was USDT, which meant I was basically paying in US dollars. It was convertible to US dollars for the recipient. Whether they chose to do that or not, I don't know. But the point was, they received the value that was agreed to be received, and it was received in seconds. It was so easy to do. And that was within country, not overseas. I've engaged contractors across the world, most recently in Africa. And the way they want you to pay, even in Southeast Asia, paying international contractors, they want to be paid in crypto because it's faster, trustworthy, and they can convert it to something meaningful in seconds. It's faster and cheaper than the old system by a very long way. Once businesses truly catch up to this, and obviously businesses big and small will vary in the speed at which they do that, the need for SWIFT and traditional wire transfers, it could vanish overnight. It could quite literally be completely redundant. I haven't used SWIFT in a couple of years now. It's been wonderful because everything that I've ever done is crypto when I'm sending money overseas, and it makes things so much easier. So, another role that crypto has to play, which will stay, is the replacement of international payments and replacing that wonderful system that doesn't live up to its name, SWIFT. Number 5, the evolution of fiat currencies. So for those of you who don't know what I mean, a fiat currency is a traditional physical currency. The Australian dollar is a fiat currency. The US dollar is a fiat currency. The euro is a fiat currency. They're all, the old school currencies that we all know and, perhaps love. Here's the part that people don't mostly fully grasp: the future of fiat itself. So governments around the world are all working on CBDCs, to the Americans again, central bank digital currencies. So their own digital currencies. Once these roll out, things like the Australian dollar, the US dollar, the euro, they will effectively, and I say effectively, become crypto. You won't be carrying paper notes or transferring numbers in a bank account. You'll be transacting in government-backed digital tokens. The format that comes in, the blockchain they run on, all these things are up for grabs. We don't know the answer yet to that. But the fact of the matter is, the game will be changing there because these currencies that are traditionally fiat will suddenly become digital. So at that point, the term fiat currency actually won't make sense anymore because fiat, by definition, means by decree, money issued because a bank says so. But if the system that the money runs on is crypto, then that distinction actually disappears. The lines blur completely. Your government-issued money is crypto, and all of a sudden, we've really moved forward. So the evolution of fiat currencies is totally a valid proposition for crypto. So that's my 5 reasons or 5 areas that I see the future of cryptocurrency happening across the globe. Now, I have a bonus section here, it's a little bit different. It's not necessarily answering the question directly, but it's something to strongly consider because I think it's going to change the way that we operate, and it's already happening in our good friend China. Our bonus section, the big power shift from governments to corporations. So let's get our binoculars on and zoom all the way out here because there is a much bigger play happening. Governments, slowly but surely, are losing power. If you look closely, you will see that. Uber is a great example. Taxis were managed by the government. Uber came in, the government fought Uber every step of the way. Ultimately, guess who got bumped out of the ranks at the airport? The taxis. Uber won. Uber is a company. The government is a government, but the corporation won. Corporations, on the other hand, are gaining power massively. You look at Google, you look at Amazon, you look at Apple, you look at Tencent. These companies don't just sell products. They control entire ecosystems. They control where you work, what you buy, how you communicate, even how you pay, which is where the cryptocurrency thing comes in. In China, apps like WePay and WeChat have already well and truly blurred the line between money and platform. You don't think in yuan anymore when you're inside WeChat. you think in WeChat credits. The fact that it happens to be pinned or pegged to yuan is almost inconsequential. You're buying things in WeChat credits. The platform is the economy. And while either you or the vendor that you're purchasing from has those credits, they have power to buy stuff. All of a sudden, the government and its fiat currency has no power. Now imagine a future where the biggest corporations issue their own tokens, and those tokens become the default way people store and exchange value. Suddenly your wealth isn't denominated in Australian dollars or US dollars. It's denominated in, and it almost sounds funny to say this, it's denominated in Apple coin, Amazon coin, or whatever the ecosystem that you live inside is. Google coin. Oh, for heaven's sake, please don't make a Google coin. Whatever the ecosystem that you could live within, your value that you're storing will be based on their token. So suddenly Apple coin makes a whole lot of sense. But this isn't just a fringe idea that I cooked up one Saturday afternoon. It is genuinely the direction that the world is already moving. And it changes not just how money works, but who controls it. And that, to me, is a bit of a scary part. So, in conclusion, what is the future of crypto? Well, it's just not one single thing. It's a store of value like gold. It's the future of shares and investment. It's a new way to handle big, secure transactions. It's the replacement for slow international transfers. And it's the foundation for the next generation of fiat itself. But by far, the biggest shift of all might be one that doesn't get talked about. Money itself moving out of the hands of government and into the hands of corporations. This is already happening if you look closely. Because if your value store sits inside Apple or Amazon, what even is currency anymore? That's the world of crypto taking us forward. And whether you like it or not, that future is already unfolding. That's today's episode. Thank you to our esteemed audience member for asking this question and giving me something to talk about, which I really am genuinely passionate about, as you may have gathered. That's today's episode of One to Deploy. I'm your host, Daniel Martin. And until next time, think, build, build smart, one to deploy.